with the coronavirus still kind of affecting us, many of us haven't been able to kind of go out to the cinemas and such, so we've often had to turn to old favourites. And the one old favourite that I kind of felt with TV that I should maybe try again with was Firefly. Now, just to recap here for those who may not know or those who do know, but just like the story, Firefly was a TV series envisioned by Joss Whedon that was first broadcast in 2003. Now, following the success and finishing of Buffy the Vampire Slayer, it was Buffy the Vampire Slayer and Angel. Everyone was looking to see what Joss Whedon's next big thing would be, and his magnum opus appeared to be Firefly, a kind of space western series, cowboys in space. It was envisioned as something that could take 7 seasons and we would all love. However, due to quite a few number of factors that you can probably find about online, Firefly only actually lasted 1 season before getting axed, leaving many fans to get angry and upset over the state of it, and even many letter writing campaigns to Fox to try and get it uncancelled or try and get some ending to it, which eventually resulted in the 2005 movie Serenity. Now, I personally had heard about this show. It was something everyone talked about even years later. It became a cult classic show. But I received it during the Christmas period of 2015. And during the summer period of 2016, I watched it through. I enjoyed it. I liked it. But it wasn't quite in my favourite shows yet. I say yet because people were always saying this was one of their favourite shows. I wasn't there yet. I mean, I thought myself it was a good show, but I've still only watched it once. I could hardly call it a favourite if I've only seen it once. But after watching it through a second time, I think at this point, yeah, it has. It is one of my favourite shows. I mean, I think I'd definitely stick it in my top six, to which I know now I technically would have three Whedon shows in there, along with Dollhouse and Buffy the Vampire Slayer. But you know what? It's my list, and you know what? Firefly deserves to be up there. So, essentially, in this kind of version of time, it might be many years in the future or whatever, there was a civil war, an interplanetary civil war, and the two sides of it were the Alliance and the Browncoats. Now, you got a captain named Malcolm Reynolds, played by Nathan Fillion. He and his second in command, Zoe, played by Gina Torres, they were on the side of the Browncoats. But at the end of the Civil War, the Alliance ultimately won, and many Browncoats now operate as smugglers. They move, getting jobs where they can, moving stuff from one side of space to the other side of space for good money. Now, and aboard their ship, known as Serenity, a Firefly class ship, they are joined by a fairly iconic cast, including Zoe's husband Wash, played by Alan Tudyk, a a fairly gruff marksman named Jane Cobb, played by Adam Baldwin, and their mechanic, a fairly bubbly woman named Kaylee, played by Jules State. And, well, while they manage to hold everything together, they do also need some passengers aboard their ship, so they've got essentially someone who works as a companion, known as Inara, played by Miranda Baccarin, a shepherd named Book, played by the late Ron Glass, and a mysterious duo named Simon and River Tam, played by Sean Mayer and Summer Glau, with Simon acting as the crew's medic. I mean, when they find out that he's kind of smuggled River aboard, they're not pleased about it, but agree he can earn his keep by working as their medic, given that he does have medical skills. Whereas River is a little bit weird. I mean, she apparently trained at the academy, but was then experimented on, and she somehow has strange abilities. Some kind of telepathic, some she's just able to look at people and tell them. Others, she's quite handy with firearms, as they find later on. But throughout the one series, they did pack a hell of a lot in, and they managed to do an awful lot with it. I mean, there are episodes where Mal ends up insulting a nobleman and getting into a sword fight. An episode where they go to a planet where Jane is hailed as a folk hero after a robbery of his ended up going wrong. An episode where Mal gets married. An episode where they end up raiding hospitals mainly for supplies, but also so Simon can find out what's wrong with River. An episode where they end up protecting a brothel owned by a friend of Inara's, and the final episode of the series proper where they end up facing down a bounty hunter who's going after River. And they managed to pack a hell of a lot into this series, and they had plans for so much more, but that they sadly weren't able to fulfill on because the show got cancelled. Now, for anyone who wants a particularly good example of why I love the show, I looked to two specific episodes. One, and my personal favourite, is episode 5, and that's the episode Safe. In the previous story, they've been hired by a man played by geek icon Mark Shepard to move a set of cows from one planet to another. Eventually, they do get there, but they end up in a bit of a rough situation, and Ron Glass's character gets, well, shot, or at least gets injured, so they have to leave the planet, and in doing so, they end up leaving Simon and River behind. Simon and River seemingly get kidnapped, but are brought to a kind of a population that really is just in need of a doctor. And they do actually manage to think, maybe there's a place for us here. Maybe this is a good place to settle down. Only to find out, only for when the town to find out that River is slightly abnormal, they declare her a witch and threaten to burn her at the stake. And this ultimately leads to one of my favourite scenes in the entire show, where kind of Simon is staring at River about to be burned, and he stands up next to her and just says, "Light it," as if to say, well, we're going to die, might as well die together. And then Serenity appears overhead. And then just Mal and Zoe walk into town, just say to everyone, "You got something that belongs to us, we want it back." And like, you cannot think to thwart our will. It's like, cut her down. The girl's a witch. Yeah, but she's our witch. So cut her the hell down. I mean, that is my favourite scene in the entire show, and it works even well with the next scene of when they're going back onto the ship, getting ready to go and everything, and Simon just says to Mal, "Why'd you come back for us? You're on my crew." "Yeah, but you don't even like me. Why'd you come back? You're on my crew. Why are we still talking about this?" I mean, I personally love that. Even just, it shows how well they all work together. And the other episode I would probably say is one of my favourites is one towards the end of the series. I think it's about episode 9 or something, where essentially a character who Mal previously married in an earlier episode shows up again, and she ends up double crossing them and such. But I think my favourite scene there is another one involving Simon, where Jane ends up getting injured, and so Simon has him on his table trying to fix him up again, and then Simon just leans over and says essentially, "I know you betrayed us. You sold us out in a previous episode, but I'm trusting you. I think you should do the same with me. Because I don't see this working the other way." And then River just pops her head and goes, "Also, I can kill you with my brain." What more do you want? I mean, yeah, I know that everyone's kind of done to death that this series was cancelled way too soon, and I can definitely say that it definitely was. I mean, I personally wouldn't know much about it. Given that this occurred back in 2003, I would have still been single digits age. But yeah, I can see why everyone loves this show, and you know what? It's time. It's earned its place in my top 6. So I think I'd probably place Firefly at my 5th favourite show of all time. I mean, it it kind of nudges Dollhouse down to 6th place, but you know what? It's worth it. We go Dollhouse, Firefly, a little break from Whedon then with The Big Bang Theory and the Arrowverse, then back with Whedon at number 2 for Buffy the Vampire Slayer, and then Doctor Who at number 1. But you know what? I think it's time. Firefly has definitely earned its place. It may only be my second watch through, but you know what? It was a brilliant show. It was cancelled way too soon, and given that we're all locked up at home at the moment, if you have time, definitely go back and check out Firefly once again. You know what? What more can I really say about it? It's a show that was cancelled way too soon and was just brilliant. Anyway, until my next review, see ya.